Welcome to Laptop Radio. Today's show is Lionsgate Network is intercepting terrorist crypto wallet, and we have Bezalel Eithan Raviv with us. Hello, how are you?
Very good. Thank you, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you based?
I'm based in Jaffa, Tel Aviv, Israel.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Hope you're safe as well.
Thank you.
Let's begin with tell us your story.
Basically, I was born here in Israel 44 years ago. I basically lived here until I was 21. After the military service, I basically moved to New York, where I started developing my music career, which is my base. I've done music for 10 years, practiced it professionally. After a long decade of developing music career, which is a lot of things, especially in the city, I've decided to move into investment banking, which is a different part of performance and different audience, but essentially the same gig, which I've done with a lot of companies and cultural entrepreneurships. Essentially, I decided to open my own firm and to dedicate the capital that I've raised towards enterprises that I believed in.
Mhm.
That's basically the course of 20 years, give or take.
Okay, awesome. And what is Lionsgate Network?
I got infatuated with Bitcoin back in 2017. I love the idea and the premise, the vision and the options. I'm sure, like everyone else. And in me, I'm a technological geek, a Star Trek fan, and everything that comes with the culture that Roddenberry brought into the world. And for me, it was just an escape from, if you will, the paradigm that we all are connected to through capital and money. From early on, I realized that there are essential problems with cryptocurrencies and the crown jewel, Bitcoin, as far as education. And it's basically an open land for a lot of problems, as we've all experienced in the past 2 to 3 years, more and more. And Lionsgate Network is basically giving the service of blockchain analysis and crypto recovery in 13 different scenarios where people are disconnected from their crypto assets, whether they got hacked, whether they forgot their seed phrase, and other cases that we delve into in offering a solution. Yeah.
Awesome. Lionsgate basically does security and terrorism, basically preventing terrorism due blockchain technology or cryptocurrency. How has that been?
Basically, terrorism, it wasn't our goal here. We basically wanted to offer service, a straightforward service to investors and people who dealt with crypto and had a negative experience and needed help.
Mhm.
Since the war started back in the 7th of October, basically we got a phone call from the Ministry of Defense in Israel, and they wanted help with a few crypto wallets. They suspected that there's money there that is going to be utilized for terror.
Yeah.
And basically, we just wanted the address. We wanted the wallet address so we can figure it out, because we weren't sure what to do with it, because we are accustomed to be working with very specific cases where we understand the A to Z of solving cases. But with a specific Hamas wallet, which is a terror organization that has one goal, and that's to destruct civilians' life in Israel, we were like, okay, give us the address and let us see what we can do. We weren't sure what we can do, but we just wanted to obviously help.
Yeah.
And essentially, what happened is that the information that we've provided in over 100 cases, we were able to freeze, block over $93 million
Wow.
in assets. Yeah. And I have to say, for the listeners of this conversation, this interview, we're not talking about AIDS or donations that will be funneled to innocent civilians in Gaza. We're talking about money that will be directed to terrorists for weapons and items of destructions to fund basically families of terrorists and so on and so forth. So we were amazed on how quickly we maneuvered and pivoted from solving personal cases of people around the world to just offering a solution that is going from B to C to B to G and helping a government here to have a more hands-on data to activate the law. Because without the information that we've provided, you couldn't really freeze, because obviously Israel is a lawful country. You needed the evidence, the conclusion that these funds are actually funneled by terrorist group, by Hamas. And that was the key point to be able to keep on moving in that direction.
Yeah, so I was in Hamas's Telegram group, and I just figured that it's just better to get direct information than rely on the news. And I saw Hamas's Telegram group's crypto address. There's almost like 1 million people in that group. And I'm just wondering, when you're analyzing these wallets, how do you know which one is used for terrorism and which funds are used for aid?
We are basically just addressing the fact that this is an Hamas Telegram group, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Hamas is a recognized terrorist group by the United States and the European Union,
Mm-hmm.
and also Israel, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So if Hamas is asking for funds as a terrorist organization, it will not be funneled to buying flowers. It will be funneled to activating the group, which is terrorist group by law.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't need more than that. Now, I always say to people that want to support the innocent people of Gaza is to always donate through Red Cross and the UN, because they're doing an incredible work, and you wouldn't have to worry about your money to be going the opposite to your intention, if that makes sense.
Yes. Do you work with exchanges to prevent the funds to go through, or how do you intercept it?
Yeah, so basically, Lionsgate Network is a concert. It's not a one-man show, and the concert is of the band. So we have blockchain analysis as
Mhm.
first to find out where funds are at in this red hot minute. And even if it moves, we still are able to follow it. We have a feature that is called a Bell's Cow. So
Mhm.
whenever it moves across blockchains, even or mixers, we'll still know where it is.
Okay.
So that's like a feature of the company. Once we analyze location and we are able to color it, we have basically the operation of the second team, which is cyber intelligence team. Job is to cross-reference from a wallet address to an actual entity, right? We
Mhm.
have to know who the person is, who the company is. Once we realize and once we have an ID, then we can go ahead with the epilogue of the performance line, which is AML fraud, to basically make the claim. If it's a person in a private case, when someone basically scammed you with, say, $100,000, we'll be able to address them directly to say to them, it's not fair. That's not your money. We have our client, release the money back, or sanctions, or law, or regulation. Depends on the case, depends on location. But in the case of terrorist funds, the claim will be with the local regulator that will discuss this in the backdrop with the relevant ministry in every country, because it changes, in
Mhm.
order to freeze the funds based on the fact. We always have to have, and we always abide by the law. We must have the actual conclusion to convince the regulator to halt the funds with the exchange. The
Mhm.
exchange will only comply, for instance, the 100 wallets plus of the funds that were frozen, they actually were with Binance. right?
Mhm.
So Binance complied only according to the request to freeze the funds. So basically, that is the operation. It's intuitive once you start doing it. To explain it, it doesn't sound so easy, but once we realize the direction and the intent of the analysis, it's actually quite straightforward.
Okay. The funds get frozen. How do they get returned to the sender? Or do they not get returned to the sender? They just get frozen.
That's a perfect question because, again, this is also dependent on case. Sometimes the sender is the donor in that sense. So it will not be coming back to the donor. It will be state treasury asset, right?
Okay.
That's in that case. When we're talking about our client and the person holding the funds, again, going back to the $100,000 example, they have the permission, so to speak, to send the money back. Same way. And if they do, by the way, it's game over, meaning the case is closed and recovered. There's nothing for us to do. Okay. It's exactly what the client wanted in the first place. We're not enforcement in that sense. But again, for us, if they don't and we have to freeze the funds, then basically, if it's with an exchange, they will wire the funds back to the client with the proof that we will provide. If it's a cold wallet, say Trezor, for instance, there are different means for us to be able to force halting of those funds and the wallet activation. It's not good for every case. The clues that we're looking for are always the same. What would be the easiest way for us to close the case on behalf of the client that we represent?
Mhm. In a few years, are you planning to still work on terrorist crypto wallets, or are you going to expand it to security in general?
It's difficult for me to assess what we will do in the next upcoming years.
Mhm.
Not so sure. Hopefully, we will have a world without wars, so we don't have to worry much about terrorism. That's my personal prayer. Hopefully, we'll be dealing with the playground of crypto problems to give it a more kind of an antivirus for crypto exchanges in that sense for investors. That was our intention from the very beginning. But
Mhm.
again, when you have skills and you want to service and serve, then you basically provide it to whomever need it within relevancy to the vision of the company. So hopefully it will be just like an antivirus. It will be like a Norton for crypto space and not something that will be going in military slash cyber slash terror. But who knows?
I think there's a need for governments to analyze different wallet and to find out which are the ones that are going to receive funds for weapons of mass destruction. Are you still going to plan to do some of that work internationally around the world, or are you just going to focus on that area?
We are going to develop our skills as we do with every single client that gives us a call, right? Because we were able to provide such a monitoring and analysis based on what people told us. They basically filled us with information that, in some cases, I must admit to you, we were not in the acknowledgement of, right? So basically, they shared with us about hacks or scams that were not on our roadmap at all. And we had to figure out what they're saying to us and analyze it through information that they've provided. So whether we're going to offer it to government, I think this is happening right now with the Israeli government. What happened now, obviously it opens door for us for bigger and more committed contracts with other governments. I know that it's a very big problem in Europe and in the States as far as making sure that everyone understands it's not the season to go around with suitcases filled with cash, right? That's how terror was funded for many years. Now, crypto is a perfect way to be able to do that. But a lot of people have misconception as that when you move money with crypto, then you have the ability to see and not be seen. The truth is that when you move money, you're actually on the stage with a spotlight on you and you're chanting. It's funny why people would move money in crypto, but I guess they're so desperate because they can't really move it with cash anymore because borders are closed and everything is more protected, and you have such surveillance today that doesn't really allow you to play the game from the 80s. It's not the 80s anymore. So with the new game, a lot of people have already moved a lot of money and made a lot of mistakes, and we are playing on that.
Awesome. I'm glad you're doing that. I was actually looking at their wallet address. This is really interesting about the event that is happening. Is there anything that you wanted to share that I have not asked you?
I would say that even though it's so depressing right now in so many ways, I would like to encourage everyone to be optimistic about what's coming. I have to tell you, we've met some incredible people since October 7th, since the war started. A lot of incredible white hats have approached us and offered their help because they understand that in the end of the day, this is not about fiat versus crypto, and this is not about Hamas versus Israel. This is about light and shadow, right? And this is the big war here. And I think it's felt everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. If you are tapped to consciousness, you understand major things are happening right now, and we can't go back anymore. Since COVID, everything is face off. I would like to encourage, even if there is one single person that will listen to this conversation, Michelle, and he is incredibly talented with analysis of blockchain. We desperately need that help right now because we are overwhelmed with cases.
Yeah.
And we need the good guys now. And I know, let me tell you something. I know the good guys are very comfortable. Most of the good guys are comfortable because no one wants the limelight. The limelight is painful to a lot of people in this generation. But I want to encourage them to say that now they're needed because if we're losing this war, and I'm not talking about this region, talking about a bigger plan, then that's not good for any of us. So that's the tiny thing that I wanted to freely share, if possible.
Yeah. Yes. If anyone is interested, what is your contact information or Twitter?
Through the website, you'll find our social media, and we are on www.lionsgate.network. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and of course, LinkedIn has been a surprising, a very resourceful hub for us to communicate with a lot of good Samarites from blockchain, a lot of big wigs that have really helped the journey since a month ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. My last question is, what is one piece of advice that you have for the community?
I could say what everyone else is saying, right? First of all, stay super vigilant. Vigilant, vigilant, vigilant. You have to protect yourself. There's so many wolves out there, and they look just like sheeps. And
how do you tell the difference between wolves and sheep?
You ask them to reveal their teeth, just like Red Hat. You ask them, no, I'm obviously joking because they will show you the teeth of a sheep. They will tell you they're vegetarian before they eat you. How would you know? Basically, you'll have to utilize every skill you have from the day you were born to figure it out. And I say one of the policies at Lionsgate Network is to reveal face, just like you asked me in the beginning of this conversation. That's what we do. That's true. That's true. Because one thing you cannot lie about and you cannot render through live communication just like this is to fake your face. You could, by the way, if you're super talented, you could do that. But we eliminate that immediately as we conduct or we decide to take on a case to recover lost funds, for instance. We immediately say to our clients, you are invited to a video conference with an analyst where you see the workspace, you see our office, You see our face, you see our conversation. It's super important for us because we do understand that at this point, these people do not really trust, and they know that they can't detect a sheep or a lion from a wolf. That would be the context.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when I asked the question, I was just thinking about the question of how do you determine who's civilian and who's Hamas? Because it's hard to tell sometimes. And
It is.
that's with any race, any person, not to discriminate. Interesting. And I guess sometimes time could help, but sometimes using our intuition and our gut, sometimes we have to trust that.
We better trust it with evidence. Otherwise, we know that a lot of people at this point, and that's the price, you lose the innocent part of it, right?
Yeah.
And if you remember that good song from the 80s, Return to Innocence, remember that song? Such a good song. Such a good song. So anyway, we wish we could go back to innocence, but at this point, unfortunately, I say that with a heavy heart, it's not the era, it's not the season. We have to really recover society trust because we've been wounded. I'm not talking about crypto, I'm talking about events that took place in the past 10 years. So we have to, first of all, recover ourselves, because before we can run up that hill again, we're not there. We feel that and we understand that. And when we offer service that is related to crypto, which is a scene that is notorious for justified reasons, we need to take care of it with a lot of heart when we discuss cases with clients that come forth to share their experiences with us. And transparency. If someone is telling you, I'm not going to open a camera, or I'm not going to show you how I look or how the office look as a service provider, you should know better than that at that point. Yeah, I think the message is very clear to everyone that had gone through that experience or any experience that is heartbreaking with the crypto environment.
Yeah, I think most people have, but sometimes you could trust, kind of like Luna or FTX, and you just don't know until things become really bad.
Through the haircut of the leader of FTX, I wouldn't invest $1 with him, only because of the haircut.
Yeah. Is that even a haircut?
Exactly. You see what I mean? If you don't have a good hairdresser, that should say something about you.
Yeah, all these things that happened in that same year, it's just amazing.
It's a cringe. It's a cringe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that your company is doing great things to stop.
Thank you.
And the bad actors, of course, it's devastating what happened on the 7th of October. And I do wish for world peace soon.
Please, please.
On both sides, as people.
People as
People.
people. We're no different than anyone else, because I think everyone is praying to have peace, besides, by the way, leaders that profit from loss of the other side. And there's good correlation between our discussion today, which is phenomenal. Thank you for the invite, about scammers in crypto and scammers in politics. They both gain from someone else's losses.
Yeah.
And that's not right or left. That's basically ideologic. And that's something that we need to monitor as citizens that go out and vote, and as investors that go out and invest. You have to keep your eyes open, and you have to educate yourself, not through fashion or through current environment, but really dig in and find out who you're giving your voice or money to. That's paramount.
Yeah, I completely agree. I hope that everyone is safe out there, and make sure that whoever wants to donate, that they ensure that the money goes to really help the people.
Red Cross UN, yeah.
This is awesome. It's such great timing. I just wanted to thank you for being here. I know it's really late there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And give us an update one day.
You got it.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.